All right, we are live. Good to see you today, my EOS friends. Welcome back to the EOS Podcast. Today I have David. He is the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Everipedia. So welcome to the EOS Podcast today, David, and I really look forward to talking all about EOS with you.
Thank you for having me, Brandon. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I generally like to start out and I want to know what is the most exciting thing for you that's going on in EOS right now.
The most exciting thing for me is the EOS Hackathon this week happening in San Francisco. I'm really excited to see what projects are going to be there, meeting developers and seeing what they have in mind. Novo, Mike Novogratz, was announced to be a judge there. I think I was reading that Larimer and Brendan are going to be there as well. Larimer is going to be on a panel, so I'm excited to see him, see what he has to say. And yeah, I'm really excited for that conference. I'm going to be up there, so if you see me, come say hi. Yeah. What about you? What are you excited about?
I think the same exact thing, man. When you said that, I was like, absolutely, I can't wait. I'm gonna be a mentor up there, and
Cool.
I mean, and I can't believe it feels cool that like Novogratz and Brendan Bloomer and Dan will be there. It's generally when I go to a lot of conferences, or actually I cut them down a bunch because I go to conferences and I don't listen to any of the talks. It's like I honestly don't care that much, and
it's all about meeting people anyway.
Yeah, you learn everything on YouTube. Like I don't really want to sit there and listen to these people talk, and a lot of self-learning in crypto. So, but with the hackathon, like I just can't wait to go sit down and listen to some of these people, some of these ideas, because these guys are it's so cutting edge. Like everything they say is like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
It's like, I feel like I'm in the future just being a part of this and being at the hackathon and seeing what people are going to build on EOS. I think it's going to be really exciting just to bring different people's creativity out in their imagination to see what they can contribute to EOS and the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a rumor, and this is only a rumor, so don't tell anyone you heard on the EOS podcast, but the rumor is that the possible hackathon whatever goal is going to be something related around video games. So that would be kind of fun. I love a little bit of gaming. I've got Master Chief sitting over my shoulder right there. So, so obviously,
nice.
I've got a little history of gaming, but
I think we all do.
Yeah. Who doesn't at this point, huh? Yeah. So the gaming, I think, is going to be one of those kind of back doors to adoption, or I mean, maybe it'll just be a big front door. But
I agree. Like you see. Whenever I go on EOS Dapps on Dapp Radar, I see EOS Knights up there and seeing like that rise. So, and I'm sure there are other games that are going to come out in the near future. I feel like EOS is the perfect platform for blockchain and gaming to really just supplement and kind of have a marriage with each other.
Yeah, it's cool to think about the gaming aspect because gaming it's had like this stigma around it, and people are like, you're wasting your time gaming. And then all of a sudden there's like, you see these kids that are in the World Series of Gaming or whatever it's called, and they've got more
huge.
There's more watchers than the Super Bowl, like by multiples, and they're making millions and millions of dollars. And all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, you can make money playing video games. And
you said Ninja on the cover of ESPN the magazine.
Oh yeah.
I was in my barbershop the other day. I'm like, wow, this is the future. Mm-hmm. Like people might hate against it, but personally, I'm just like, I accept it. Like I'm all for this.
Yeah. Well, and it's so EOS represents kind of this next level. Like it's not going to be only this professional gamers, but it's going to be people who just maybe have a passion for gaming, and there's ways to monetize on a less level. Maybe you can make a few grand a month being an avid gamer because of opportunities within the blockchain. So that'll be interesting to see how that shifts everything.
Yeah, definitely. And especially with EOS's Korean community, Korea has had a gaming culture since the early 2000s when the government really made an initiative to make their country really technologically advanced. And they basically, from my understanding, doing research about South Korea, how in America, how they have basketball courts like in every town. They basically have gaming cafes like all over the place, and they have such an entrenched gaming culture that, and they're so enthusiastic about EOS. I'm pretty confident that something's going to come out of Korea that's going to be in EOS and gaming.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the other thing that Korea is big on is EOS. I mean, one of our biggest communities is out of Korea, so you're probably right.
Yeah, I was actually in Korea at the beginning of the year at the EOS meetup in Seoul, and the meetup there, it was originally supposed to have 200 people. It had 1,000 people.
Wow.
It had 5 times more people, and it was a huge event. I was so taken aback about how enthusiastic everyone was about EOS. It made me really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and shout out to my buddy Han out there with EOS Node 1, I think, in Korea, the block producer. And Han is a legend, one of my friends from out there. So if you're listening to this, Han, what's up, man?
Shout out, Han.
Yeah. Video games are definitely exciting, and blockchain games are definitely exciting. I had BitJoy on the show a few weeks back, and it was one of my favorite talks, just this idea of where this is all going.
If only Red Dead Redemption 2 was on EOS.
I know. Well, soon enough, I mean.
Maybe the third one.
Yeah, you can only imagine maybe 5 years down the road when these things get in, this blockchain concept gets integrated into the most high level, like the Blizzard type games, because they're going to come up with so many creative tools and uses for how to integrate it. And that you put VR on and mix VR in with that, we're in a brave new world.
AR.
Yeah.
I mean, like Vitalik, before he got into crypto, he was really into World of Warcraft. So it's just natural transition. You see a lot of people go from gaming to crypto. One of my good friends that I know in the space, Virtual Growth, he was into, do you know who Virtual Growth is? Shout out Virtual Growth.
Shout out to VG.
VG, the legend himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was into gaming before he got into BitShares and Steemit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I didn't know that. You know, VG is also a poker player. He's got all kinds of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said Vitalik was World of Warcraft, you said? He was
he was before he got into crypto. And his dad's, I think in like 2011, 2012, was like, hey, you should check out this Bitcoin thing. And then Vitalik checked it out, and the rest is history.
You know, actually, isn't Brendan Bloomer, wasn't he had a rich history in World of Warcraft.
I believe he sold like different in-game materials and skins and weapons and stuff when he was in high school, when he was 15. And then I think after he graduated high school, he just like went to Hong Kong and started like a few video game companies and whatnot.
Yeah, you know what he did was he started a company that was mining for gold, like the gold that you can get in World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
It had like thousands of people mining the gold and then selling it because people would buy it for cash and then buy in-game tools. So
that's what he was doing.
And so he made, like, that was one of his big first businesses that he sold. Yeah, I mean, so anyone who questions like the validity of video games, I mean, some of the leaders in the crypto industry have, come from that video game background.
And Brock Pierce too. Pierce is huge into video games.
Yep. So yeah, what a cool concept. So yeah, and with that being said, I totally wouldn't be surprised if the hackathon is something to do with video games. I mean, it would make sense. These guys, this is what's up. So it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely excited to be there.
Yeah. And what are you going to be doing up there?
What I'm going to be doing for Everipedia, I'm actually going to be running an Everipedia workshop of sorts. So I want to teach anybody at the hackathon who's interested to how to use Everipedia, how to sign up for EOS, get them onboarded, and basically teach them how to use the Everipedia platform. Kind of guide them on like what pages we're looking to be made, kind of guide them about how our community works, and really get them going and what I really love about Everipedia is that to go on your video game point, it really feels like a game. Like I like to describe Everipedia as gamifying edits, because the more good contributions you contribute to the IQ network, the more IQ you get rewarded back. So it's like a really good positive feedback mechanism for our network.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Everipedia, and I made a page and went through the process just so I understood it, and it's a great carrot there to drive people, because it just is. I'd like to start kind of big picture on Everipedia just to make sure people know what it is, and then dig a little bit deeper in. And so for anyone who doesn't know, Everipedia is basically a decentralized Wikipedia. So it's a
we're the encyclopedia. Encyclopedia on the blockchain.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't start that way. So the story of Everipedia is that we started in 2015. It was started by Sam Kazemian and Theodore Forsilius out of a UCLA dorm room. And it really came out of this idea and this reaction to Wikipedia of their really high notability guidelines and kind of their very deletionist tendencies. If you think about it, Wikipedia has been around since 2001, 2002, and it really hasn't changed much. And although it is great, it has a lot of problems. Like I said, their notability requirements are just way too.
Can you say what a notability requirement is?
So Wikipedia, they have kind of these standards of notability, for example, like what articles were written about them, any like awards they may have earned or won. It's kind of, they take all that into account and decide who qualifies for a page or not. To give you an example, there's this woman named Donna Strickland who recently won the Nobel Prize. In March, somebody tried to make her page, but it was deleted because it wasn't notable enough. And a few months later, she won the Nobel Prize, so they had to scramble to make it. So Right there is shows like the flaws in Wikipedia's notability system.
So they're like a gatekeeper to who's cool enough to get on the site.
A centralized gatekeeper of who is cool or notable enough to be on their platform.
Let me read a quote that I thought was really interesting, and then you just talk a little bit more about Everipedia. So, deletionists rule Wikipedia. They're constrained. They're constrained by print era thinking. What harm does it do if online references have a long tail of articles that are only interesting to a few people, so long as everyone can still find what they're looking for? There's room to do to Wikipedia what Wikipedia did to Britannica.
Yep, that's us, honestly. So we going back. We started out from this idea, and as we started growing and attracting community, Everipedia became really the encyclopedia. I like to think of up-and-coming things in culture. So we did really good in this white space of like what people are really searching for, but for some reason it's not notable enough for Wikipedia. So up-and-coming artists, deleted Wikipedia pages, journalists, breaking news events. We really covered those things well. And we really got like a solid amount of traffic of that, growing our community. And then when 2017 came along and this whole ICO kind of interest and craze started to come about, we were thinking like, hey, like, is this the next step for Everipedia? Like, should we go onto the blockchain? And previously, our co-founder Sam Kazemian mined cryptocurrency in college using the free electricity in his dorm room. So he already had that learning curve about crypto. And so it wasn't anything new to him. And so when 2017 came along, we decided all right, we're going to take a real look at this. And then what the story is, in August 2017, a few of our co-founders went up to San Francisco to this conference, and Brock Pierce was there. And Sam went up to Brock and said, hey, we want to build the Everipedia on the blockchain, and we want to build it on EOS. And in August of 2017, EOS really did not have the same hype as it did now. It was like it just launched its ICO. It wasn't really had the same much attention or magnitude as it has now. And so we had that early mover advantage. And so since then, since that point, since working to move Everipedia from a regular website onto the blockchain, we eventually worked something out where we did an airdrop to all EOS token holders. We raised money privately through Block One and Galaxy Digital, and we went live in July 2017, and so we're live. People are actually earning IQ tokens. We're not just some blockchain that's an idea that's like a token that represents no, like we're here right now. Like people are actively using it, and we're growing around the world. I'm super excited about our Korean community. They've been doing a lot of work. Like whenever I see our activity feed, I just see a bunch of Korean pages. I see him even making like disambiguation pages as well. I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. This is going to be a real global thing. And
what would a disambiguation page be?
So that's kind of like just like a page of different categories. So I'll give you an example. So let's say like a disambiguation page for American sports. It would list American football, basketball, soccer. It's just a category of categories.
Okay.
I just want to get to one more point. A lot of people don't realize this, but Wikipedia is really only popular in North America and Europe and maybe parts of South America. It really isn't that popular in Asia, and so there's definitely a huge opportunity for us to like become the premier encyclopedia in Asia, especially Korea. Like I said earlier in the podcast, how Koreans are like really all about gaming and how Everipedia really gamifies edits. Like it's really the perfect storm for Everipedia to become successful in that area.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a thought. I mean, there's people is there people out there who are kind of trying to make Everipedia their like business or their job? I mean, is there people that are just grinding and writing Everipedia articles?
Yeah, absolutely. I know there are people that actually sell Everipedia pages. I used to sell Everipedia pages before the blockchain. I used to like offer like different services who wanted like the best tailored experience for someone to create an Everipedia page. I would make it, but then as kind of like my responsibility shifted, I passed that along to the Everipedia community, and we do have some editors, Chinese speaking, English speaking, and I think Korean speaking that are making Everipedia pages. People are paying them, and other people are just like grinding along. It's so new, so like that ecosystem is like really yet to form. Like I kind of envision in the future like a bounty system kind of coming up. So like people like offering people to make edits, like individual edits or individual pages. So that will definitely come up. And right now you have Wikipedia. They have an underground kind of wiki system. Like no one's really allowed to pay for Wikipedia pages, but if you Google like, can I pay for a Wikipedia page, like you can find it even though it's not allowed. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Everipedia system, where it's out in the open, evolves from the Wikipedia system, which is kind of like underground,
That's really a good analogy for just general governance in the world as we see it versus the blockchain, where there's the blockchain's transparent with incentives, where as like out in the world, there's kind of this illusion of what's going on with these perverse incentives on a layer where most people don't see them, and that I had no idea that you could pay to have a Wikipedia page or, go about it, but that makes a ton of sense. What a funny, perverse incentive.
Yeah, it makes sense. Wikipedia's SEO is so good that if you have a Wikipedia page and you automatically go to the top for any search.
Well, now that you told me that, I'm going to have to look into getting the EOS podcast and Wikipedia page. I'm going to go grease some wheels out there, man.
Yeah. I already made your Everipedia page. So.
Oh, cool, man. Thank you. That's awesome.
Of course.
That's rad. So that's cool. I mean, that's great that there's not this barrier to entry. How does Everipedia help? Is it like pretty beneficial to search ranking? Is that one of the benefits as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. We rank really well for like the wiki key search. So like I said in the beginning, like so-and-so wiki or so-and-so bio, we rank up there. We're continually growing, especially since we're getting much more attention, just being part of EOS and the blockchain and just being in the news more. So it kind of just has this snowball effect, and I'm definitely noticing it in the search rankings.
Cool. Now, is there any barrier to entry? I mean, if it's just like someone, say, just my sister, if she just wanted to make a Wikipedia page, is that works too? or excuse me, Everpedia?
Everpedia page. Yeah. Well, right now, since I'll admit it's a little bit of a process to get started editing on Everpedia, because you need an EOS account, you need to get a scatter, and then you need to get EOS IQ and to start editing, which is like not the most ideal thing right now, but we're basically in this kind of beginning MVP phase, and so that's going to improve in the future. But for right now, I'll admit it's a little difficult. It's definitely not impossible. Like last night I just guided somebody who was a former Everpedia client of mine. He wanted to edit his page, and I sent him our Everpedia tutorial, and he actually signed up for an account. Shout out to Sean Kelly from Jersey Champs for doing that. So it is possible, but it's not the easiest thing in the world.
So, but there's no like anyone can have.
Oh no, anybody can have an account.
Okay, but there's a little bit of technical barrier.
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of like how Bitcoin was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how like there was definitely a technical barrier. Like I remember first hearing about Bitcoin in 2011, and I had no idea how to answer it. Like it just went over my head. And so many people are like that, even now, still to this day. But yeah, I think that is eventually going to get easier over time.
Yeah, and as these little barriers kind of get out of the way, the adoption that's what's going to take for adoption to come, is the removal of the barriers. And yeah, I was thinking 100%. I was thinking about that today because I got a new cell phone. Mine finally died, and so I get a cell phone, and I have Google almost everything now, and I kind of didn't want to go that far down the rabbit hole for so long. But Google has made it so easy to just accept and okay and allow permissions and link everything together without thinking that eventually it's just now I'm deep in the Google web. And but I was just thinking about how good their UX is and how easy they make it for adoption. They almost make it hard to not adopt because they make life so
that's
easy.
the key. You just have to make it easy, and that's the challenge that not just EOS has, but all blockchains that want to be successful on a mass scale in the future need to realize that, your blockchain works now, but what are you doing to actively make it for the everyday person like your sister or my grandma to be able to use these amazing applications?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the big thing that EOS does is these quick transactions, which take that's so much friction.
That's huge.
It's so much friction. So that's a big chunk that they're getting there. So let's hope things like this hackathon and all kinds of UX tools keep coming through for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do the editors do? I mean, at Wikipedia, are you excuse me, I gotta be careful. Wikipedia. Do you guys go through and edit articles that are already written, or are you writing your own specific articles?
We mainly focus on newer articles, so we're always looking for new content to write. Recently, since we got into blockchain and crypto, we tried to focus on, for example, being the crypto wiki. So we have an initiative to make as many blockchain-related pages as possible, whether it's people in the ecosystem, projects, media sites, yourself, So we have a big initiative on that end. Like I said, up-and-coming things in culture. Personally, in my free time, I love making pages for different dubstep artists because they have a lot of popularity and a lot of pull and get a lot of engagement online, but they don't have Wikipedia pages, and people who want to search for their bio or their influences, there isn't a central place for them to look at it. So I enjoy writing pages about these dubstep artists, and then I'll go see them out at a show and be like, wow, I know this guy's story, it's cool. And then I'll send it to them on Twitter, and sometimes I'll meet them after the show and they'll be like, oh, you're that guy. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
That's rad. How cool.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things about being an editor of Everpedia is we kind of live in this world of where we're constantly consuming content, whether it's on social media or just in the news just being blasted at us. And Everpedia really gives the opportunity for people to create content for stuff that they care about and to be an active participant in that. And a lot of the pages I've made have received thousands, if not tens of thousands of views. And it's just really, you have a different connection to the things that you're passionate about. And that's why like I really love Everipedia and why I joined it like a few years ago.
Yeah, that's a cool concept to think about, is this extra layer of engagement, especially with artists or people who you kind of follow or listen to or watch, maybe even play sports or something like.
Yeah, athletes too.
Yeah.
Like we get a bunch of athlete pages on there as well. Like we're like one, it's like a certain, we'll notice on like for example, on a Saturday, like we'll see on our site like a certain football player just like gets a bunch of views all of a sudden. It's like, whoa, like he must be a college football player, and then like we'll go in and improve his page.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How cool. Yeah. And that's very cool. I mean, if say you were going to go see a comedian, some local comedian, or you're going to go to the Ice House in Los Angeles or something and watch a comedy show and there's a comedian there. I mean, you could make a Wikipedia page before Everpedia. You could make an Everpedia page before you went. And then after the show, like have something to talk to him about when you go meet him. Like, I made you a page, and you're pushing crypto forward. You're getting to engage with someone that you respect.
Yeah. And the coolest thing, they don't even have to know about crypto to like Everpedia. And I think that's one of the things that will drive mainstream adoption is people won't even realize that they're using a blockchain product. It's just a really well done product.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So people listening to this, if you have some sort of special hobby or something you like doing, and you know people that are doing something that's worth writing about, make them a Wikipedia article, or Everpedia article, and go tell them about it.
Come join me at the EOS Hackathon. I'll teach you the ropes. I'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's good. So is there like a way that the articles are written, or they just kind of everyone writes them a little different, or is there kind of like a format, or how's that work?
We definitely have like a general guideline. Like they have to be written in a neutral tone, in third person, includes everything has to be cited and backed by something else. And the cool thing, the way that Everpedia is structured now is that all edits are reviewed by the community through our voting system. So when an editor submits an article, the community has a chance to vote on it with their IQ token. So they review the page, see that all the edits and citations are valid, and they can vote to approve the edit or reject the edit.
Cool.
With their IQ token. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's gaining traction. What's the user acquisition look like? How many users are there, and how's it growing?
We're definitely growing. Our Telegram community right now has 8,000 members. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of active users that at least put in one edit a week, and from all over the world, like I said, not just in the West, but especially in Asia, China, and Korea as well. And so we definitely expect that to grow, especially when the quote unquote barrier to entry gets lowered as we figure out easier ways for people to sign up and start contributing to Everpedia.
How do you guys, a lot of times anytime you go to a Wikipedia page, you see them asking for donations. How does Everpedia monetize in a way that it's viable long-term?
Yeah, that's a good question. So since Everpedia itself holds although we airdropped more than half of our IQ tokens, Everpedia itself holds a solid chunk of IQ tokens. So as that goes up in value, and we'll be fine on the financial end, and also through Liberty Block, we have I'm talking about more of Everpedia, the corporate entity instead of like Everpedia network.
Yeah.
Those are kind of just two separate things. And also we have Liberty Block. And so we have an income stream that way. And that's another way that we contribute to the EOS community is through Liberty Block.
Cool. And Liberty Block is the block producer. And you guys, so it's a direct affiliation between the two? Does it have some of the same founding members, or all of the same founding members? Or how's that look?
It has some of the same founding members. So Liberty Block is between Everpedia and the Ikigai Fund. We have our team of developers on it. So Everpedia has some world-class developers. I got to give a shout out to Kate Arier, who's definitely one of the top security audit experts in the blockchain space. He's written a few books, and he's really been pushing along with Liberty Block. And I got to give a shout out to the Ikigai Fund. And they've been there since they're a fund. They get to see all these dApps that kind of submit proposals to them, and they review dApps all day. And if you think about it, since they're reviewing and investing in all these dApps in the EOS ecosystem, Liberty Block funds directly benefit that. So it's kind of like I said, like a positive feedback loop.
Well, look into Liberty Block if you're listening to this, my crypto friends, because a lot of people don't know how the EOS block producer voting goes, but it's not, at some point you're receiving block rewards, but like even the block producers towards the middle, every person who votes, these block producers are going to get a little bit more EOS. It's based on the number of people and the weight that votes for them. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, it does. It's worth.
Yeah, I think what's cool about Liberty Block is since you have Everipedia involved with it, they directly have skin in the game in the system. So Everipedia is definitely one of the the most complex smart contracts on the EOS blockchain, and our developers know what the problems are, like what it takes for EOS to be successful. So for them to be associated with Liberty Block and making the proper and beneficial contributions to the network, I think it will be will just be a positive for everyone.
Yeah, that's a pretty valid point. A team of developers that's actually building on the EOS blockchain and encountering these problems real time is going to know what improvements the blockchain needs better than anyone. So that is a good point. I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, not all the block producers have projects that they're physically building on or physically coding on. So
every block producer is contributing something to the EOS network, and ours has a unique position of being one of the probably like the biggest dApp on the EOS network.
Yeah, that's a great unique position. Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions to ask and to kind of get to the bottom of with block producers. It's like, what do you guys do that makes you who you are? And so that's a good point you make there with Liberty Block. I like it. So Everipedia, Liberty Block. What else is on the roadmap for those two teams? What's the next year? What's a year from now look like?
A year from now, so we just hired a front end team, so we're gonna redesign our entire front end and our user interface. So it's gonna be even more intuitive, and I'm really excited to see where that leads. We have big plans to make the IQ token really just basically more than Everipedia. Like we kind of have this grand vision for the IQ network for being the native token of a whole knowledge economy. And I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I'll leave that there. And I'm just excited to just keep growing our community, especially abroad. And I think one of the coolest parts about being part of Everipedia is I get to interact with users and different characters from all over the world. From being either in our Everipedia community or the crypto community, like there's all different kinds of interesting, smart, genuine people that you get to meet.
Cool. I actually just thought of a good question. Someone made this comment on one of my previous, and I think it's what people kind of want to hear. Can you tell like a story, like a user experience story of someone who wants to make an edit on Everipedia, like what they come in, what they do, and then basically how much money or tokens they earn when it's completed? Like, what's that user story look like?
So a user story how that would basically look like is, okay, they would get their EOS account, they would sign up for Scatter, they would acquire IQ tokens from an exchange, and then they would be able to, once they sign the Scatter, go into our site, type in the name or the place or whatever page they want to make, and they would go for, I'm trying to think of an example. I think the best example would be what I mentioned earlier in the show was my previous colleague, Sean Kelly. He wanted to make an edit on his page. He originally made it on the regular pre-blockchain Everipedia site, and then he was able to just sign up for the blockchain version of Everipedia through Scatter. And he started making edits to his own page and to his company's page.
Okay.
And then he submitted the edits. They went up for vote. They got approved. And yeah, that's like a typical user experience.
Okay. It's actually pretty simple. You're going to get your IQ token, sign in through Scatter, make an edit, and then your edit goes up to vote from the community as a whole. Is that right?
Yeah. And then after your edit's approved, you get rewarded IQ tokens based on the amount of other edits that are made in that time period, and the tokens are distributed. And what I think is really cool about Everipedia and just kind of these decentralized systems in general, and why I think the platforms like Everipedia are really going to take off, is you have like kind of centralized entities like Twitter and Facebook, and well, I'm going to stick with them because they're for-profit companies. Like, they have so much value, just stuck at that are just like kind of trapped at the top, that doesn't really get kind of trickled down to its users for making contributions, whether it's tweets or like posting content. With Everipedia, that value that's at the top is being distributed to its contributors and editors with the IQ token. And I think that's really what the future of not just knowledge is, but like just the future of just communication is, really just being rewarded for your contribution to a given network, whether that's like a decentralized Wikipedia or a decentralized Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of one of these bigger picture parts of this blockchain type revolution, is that before this time, or, say 10 years ago, people they weren't real conscious of how much value they were actually adding to things like Facebook and Google. They didn't know that their thoughts and their comments and their ideas and their posts were valuable. They just thought it was nothing. Yeah.
And like these platforms like Twitter and Facebook, there are modern day town square, and they're kind of just like, I don't know what other word to put it, like kind of just they're very authoritarian. They're kind of dictatorial, especially like the way like shadow banning works, and just like people like claiming that they're being censored and whatnot. I'm not just talking about like one side, I'm talking about on both sides. I feel like both sides feel like their voices are being kind of just silenced. Mm-hmm. And I feel like blockchain has the opportunity to kind of just go away with that, because the more that people feel censored, the more they're going to be looking for an alternative. Mm-hmm. And with Everipedia, like, since we're our articles and our content stored in IPFS, like, we're uncensorable, and anybody can make anybody can make a front end, like a different front facing website, and plug into the IQ network and host the content on the IQ network.
Interesting. So what is there anything that's not allowed on Everipedia?
Is there anything not? I mean, yeah. I mean, not like, I would say super vile stuff isn't allowed on Everipedia. Like, you know.
You don't have to name any of the things, but that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. What if, like, inaccurate content? Obviously, just spammy content, that isn't allowed. We're just looking for like high quality content about things people are searching for that isn't being covered.
So I'm guessing kind of the only kind of thing that would be not, basically you guys have to follow the laws and regulations, I would think, of the country that you're in, or whoever's, is that how that works? Is that basically how it works? I mean, you can't.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, what a cool idea. It's so needed. It's another one of these, it seems like every DApp that I talk to has like this groundbreaking idea that's going to change everything. I mean, that's kind of the time we're
doing it here.
Yeah, but you guys are going for it. I mean,
we're live. Yeah, we got big things planned, and I'm really excited to see where Everipedia and EOS are going to go. I think they're a really good marriage with each other.
Mm-hmm. Killer. Well, you'll be at the hackathon doing the workshop for Everipedia, so that'll be cool to see you up there. I'll be at the hackathon. Also, there's the Scaling Blockchain Conference that's on Monday, the day after the hackathon. So I'll be the MC at that. A bunch of block producers will be there. So if you're listening and you're at the hackathon, come to the Scaling Blockchain on Monday and come hang out and learn some more stuff. I'll put a code for a discount if you want to come to that conference on Monday in the show notes. Where's a good place for people to find you guys, David? And where?
Yeah, obviously Everipedia.org is our website. Find us on Twitter, Everipedia, Facebook, Everipedia, Instagram, Everipedia. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Dave Said That. But
I like that name. Dave Said That.
Dave Said That _.
Nice.
So if you want to if you want to join Everipedia and need any help, hit me up. Hit me up on Telegram too. Join the Everipedia official Telegram. I'm pretty active on there. You can hit me up. So all Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, we're all there.
Great, man. So you have any closing thoughts or anything we kind of glossed over that you'd like to dig a little bit deeper into before we wrap it up here?
I guess the last thing I would have to say is just be active on EOS. Just don't be active on Everipedia. Come sign up, come join. It really isn't that hard, and it's a lot of fun once you get started. I'll tweet your pages that you make. It's come join our community. We're just at the beginning. This is just the beginning of this. You're at the ground floor of something that's going to be really big and really transformative, and I encourage everyone to come join. Yeah,
that's a good point. I mean, if you're like a ton of us at points in crypto, it's like you're in crypto, but you're just investing, and you're like, man, I wish I could get my hands on something and be a part of it. Everipedia seems like a good entry for people who just want to do something that's real in blockchain and maybe even earn a little bit of rewards. I mean, so that would be a good call to action. Get involved.
Get involved. Let's go.
We're changing the world over here. You want to be a part of it. You don't want to tell your grandkids, yeah, I knew about, Everipedia and all that crypto stuff, but I just watched it, happen. Yeah. You don't be that, So, hey man, well, it was a pleasure to talk to you today, David. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It was a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And my EOS friends, this is the EOS Podcast, and I'm not a financial advisor. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
The money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.